Alright, in this particular problem we are looking at graph f, and we are going to apply some transformations from function f to create g. Now, it is giving me the transformations to use in the form of a new function g of x. And it asks me, what are you actually going to do to transform? Well, I know that the 2 in front of the function f means vertical stretch by a factor of 2. I know that this means a horizontal shift to the right, and that this means a vertical shift down. So those would be the verbal description of your transformations. So, in creating this new graph, what I'd like to do is I would like to do a table of values, which we've done before. And I'll pick some critical points. So, for example, this is negative 6, 0 on the original. And the highest point is at negative 2, 4. And another critical point might be at 2, 0. And I have this point here, which looks like it's at 5, negative 3. Now I have my description of the transformations to be applied written out here. So I'm going to create a table of values for my new graph, the g-graph. And I'm going to use these guiding points to help create my new g-graph. So it says I was supposed to stretch my y values vertically by a factor of 2 and then subtract 3. So in this case it would be 2 times 0 minus 3 would be a negative 3. And then 2 times 4 is 8, minus 3 is 5. 2 times 0 is 0, minus 3 is negative 3. And 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, minus 3 is negative 9. So I have created or transformed my y coordinates. Now the corresponding x coordinates, the only thing I have to transform is to shift all my points to the right by 1. So negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. This would be negative 1. This would be 3, and this would be 6. Now, I then took and sketched the graph using this new table of values. So negative 5, negative 3. And then the highest point was then at negative 1, 5. And then my other point that used to be over here on the x-axis is now located at 3, negative 3. And then, of course, my terminating point, my last point, the end point, is at 6, negative 9. And I use the same shape connecting these new points to create my g-graph. Now it asks what the domain of the g-graph is. Well, the domain of the g-graph starts with this point, ends with this point, so it would be, obviously, from negative 5 to 6. And the range values that were from, the lowest was negative 3 to 4, is now, you guess, what? Negative 9 to 3 inclusive. Using interval inequality notation, we have encouraged the use of interval notation, so I'm going to write this domain as negative 5 to 6. And this obviously from negative 9 to 5 inclusive, so I use brackets. Now if this were a multiple choice question, your answer choices might be in inequality notation and they may be in interval notation, but you need to be able to work both ways.